Imagine for a moment that you have everything you've ever dreamed of. Imagine achieving all the wealth, all the recognition, enjoying every possible pleasure, and finally reaching exactly where you always wanted to be. Now imagine waking up, looking around, realizing that everything you ever wanted is now yours, and still feeling an emptiness you can't explain. Hard to imagine, isn't it? But there was a man who didn't have to imagine it, because he'd lived it. His name was Solomon, a king, wise, wealthy, powerful. Solomon had it all. But at the peak of his power, when his fame had spread across the world and his wisdom was admired by kings and queens, something unexpected happened inside him. Solomon discovered what might be the greatest illusion of all, the belief that anything in this life can truly satisfy the human soul. And he wrote about it. He left behind what may be the most controversial, most uncomfortable, and most overlooked lesson in the Bible. A truth so powerful that many would rather pretend it doesn't exist. Today, you're going to understand exactly what Solomon discovered, a revelation that could change your life forever if you're brave enough to face it. Solomon's experiment. Solomon decided to do what few would have the courage to try. He set out to test the limits of life to see if anything could truly satisfy the human heart. He dove headfirst into everything the world had to offer. Immeasurable wealth, absolute power, limitless pleasures. Palaces were built, paradise-like gardens were planted, magnificent feasts were held. Nothing was off-limits to his desires. He described it clearly in Ecclesiastes. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. Ecclesiastes 2:10. But the outcome of this experiment was unexpected and deeply unsettling. At the peak of all these experiences, Solomon felt an overwhelming emptiness. Nothing he achieved could fill the space within his soul. In fact, the more he gained, the deeper and more terrifying that emptiness became. That's when he wrote one of the strongest statements ever made about life. Everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. Ecclesiastes 2:11. Solomon didn't just talk about it, he lived it. And his experience stands as a clear and powerful warning that still echoes today. Maybe what you're desperately chasing isn't the answer you truly need. The greatest illusion of mankind. The greatest illusion Solomon exposed is also the most seductive and universal. The idea that something in this world, whether pleasure, wealth, recognition, or power, can fill the emptiness of the human soul. This is the lie that drives the world. People believe that just a little more will bring happiness. Just one more promotion, just one more perfect body, just one more round of applause, just one more achievement. It's like chasing the wind. You see it, but you never catch it. And when you get closer, it slips right through your fingers. Solomon didn't realize this in theory, he lived it. He went further than any of us ever will. And in the end, he discovered that all these pursuits, as dazzling and promising as they may seem, are meaningless, empty, an illusion. Humanity believes that meaning comes from having. But Solomon proved that even when you have everything, you can still have nothing. Because the true thirst of the soul cannot be quenched by what is temporary. And that's the lesson most people ignore. Because it's hard, it's uncomfortable. But that's exactly why it has the power to set you free. The most overlooked teaching in the Bible. After testing every human possibility, Solomon arrived at the only conclusion that truly matters. A truth so simple yet so hard to accept that most people choose to ignore it. He wrote, "Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind." Ecclesiastes 12:13. That's the answer. That's the core. It's not about collecting possessions, being admired, or chasing intense experiences. It's about recognizing who God is, honoring Him above all else, and aligning your life with His will. Today, in a world that teaches the meaning of life is found in success, self-esteem, or limitless freedom, this message sounds radical, maybe even controversial. Many prefer to chase new formulas, new philosophies, new shortcuts, anything that allows them to stay in control without fully surrendering. But Solomon knew and taught us that true wisdom isn't about gaining more, but about surrendering more. Because without the fear of God, everything we achieve fades like dust in the wind. Solomon had everything. He experienced what most people only dream of, and in the end, he left us with a message that goes completely against everything this world teaches. Nothing truly satisfies unless God is at the center. He He didn't write this as a religious man trying to push a belief. He wrote it as someone who had lived to the extreme, who climbed to the top of the world, and from up there realized he was surrounded by nothing. The greatest illusion of mankind is believing that the meaning of life is found in what is temporary. The greatest truth Solomon discovered is that everything makes sense when you fear God. And maybe today is your moment to stop chasing the wind, to look within and realize that the answer you've been searching for isn't in one more achievement, but in a heart that finally decides to turn toward the eternal.